Do you remember who got you into knife collecting? How's it going, everybody? I'm Rollshambo, the connoisseur and collector of all things sharp and shiny. And no, this is not pre-recorded, or at least if you see the little red dot down below, it's definitely not. That's right, we are live. Today's Wednesday. We go live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. That's 8 p.m. Mountain Time, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. I think that's right. So today, I'm not sure if you read the title, but today we are in fact going to be talking about some knife makers that you might not be familiar with. And I think that that's a fun topic because at the end of it all, we love knives. And sometimes we just don't have an opportunity to see everything that's out there because everything that's out there is a lot. Also, apologies ahead of time because my system crashed not once, not twice, 3 times before the stream started. And so all of my pre-saved settings just gone. So what you're seeing right now is actually my setup being put together just all at once. I am working on getting the system upgraded so that it's a bit more reliable, so I can be a bit more consistent, but you know, sometimes that's just what happens. Sometimes life happens. I see that there are some great people out here in the chat. So first and foremost, shout out to my man Oreo Dave. Oreo Dave's in the house. We've got Pretty Fly for a Knife Guy. Top Dog. How's it going, everybody? Good to see the moderators in the chat. I'm assuming everyone can see and hear me. I'm not entirely sure. Given my technical difficulties, it's hard to tell. As far as what I carried today, I worked from home today, so technically I didn't really have a carry, but carried this behemoth, the Midgard's Messer Thunrar. Huge chunk of a knife. And here's the thing, it's not necessarily that big. This knife is actually about the same length as a Spyderco Para 3. Okay, maybe more a paramilitary too, but it's wide. It's got the cutting geometry of a cleaver, and it just tickles me because people that are into knives say there's no way that that knife could cut anything. It's what's it useful for? Like weighing down your pants? And then they see me like slice through stuff. This will absolutely demolish anything that gets in its way, which is fantastic because the amount of joy that it brings me is just bar none one of the greatest. The Midgard's Messer Thunrar was definitely my carry today, and yeah, no regrets. Always have a good time carrying this knife. Man, we got Matt Russell in the house, Honey Bear, Mia Haruno's in the house. How's it going, Marcos? Man, good to see everyone piling in. Is the audio all right? Can someone do me a solid and let me know in the chat, is the audio all right? Because I don't think that any of my audio settings actually carried through. So yeah, let me know, because I put this together, just a setup that's taken me months to put together. I just tried to recreate in the span of about 5 minutes, so we'll see. K Mason says, yeah, your sound is quiet and scratchy. Quiet and scratchy. Damn. Let's try this. Let me know if this sounds any better. We're trying to get this going. I didn't plan on having, you know, everything decide to go to hell in a handbasket right before the stream, but you know, that's always what happens. You adapt, you try to overcome. Sometimes it doesn't work out too well. Let's we're giving it our best shot. So hopefully it comes through. Top Dog says, it's loud or just sounds like you're in a cave. possible. Josh Mostaller on the way. How's it going? How's it going, Josh? All right. Well, shoot. I'm not sure if any of my settings actually went over. But we're trying. We're definitely trying, guys. And what if we did this? Does that work? Well, we're trying. Yeah. It's a bit of a cluster at the moment. We got Patina Turner in the house. K Mason. He says, dude, the audio is working. You're just stuck in the 70s sound-wise. You know, I heard the 70s was a good time, though. It's a bit before my time. You know, I'm only 32, so it is a bit before my time. But I heard that the 70s were pretty good. We're gonna go with it, and I'll look back and try to figure out what happened so that the next live stream is a bit better put together. So, regardless, everybody, I wanted to talk about some knife makers that you may or may not have heard of, and I'm guessing that many of you may not have heard of them. So let's go ahead and check it out. I'm here on Instagram, and one of the knife makers that I want to talk about today is Black Spade Knives, or Black Spade Knife Works, my bad. Here's the deal. I don't have very many fixed blades, but I do like fixed blades. And I don't have any slip joints to speak of. I really don't. And the main reason is because I like being able to flick my knives open. You know, that's kind of my thing. I like being able to fidget with my knives. And it's, in my opinion, it's kind of hard to fidget with a slip joint. However, Black Spade Knife Works has been really, really, really getting me interested in getting not just a slip joint, but a slip joint that I don't see a whole lot of people having. Can we just take a moment and appreciate that awesomeness for what it is? I mean, that's just fantastic. That is that's like it's a micarta. He uses AEBL steel, which is phenomenal. I love AEBL. Really, really good, tough knife steel, holds an edge, not terribly difficult to sharpen. But that is gorgeous. Yeah. And you know, you probably see my message right there. Turns out this one was not for sale. He messaged me, but it didn't stop me from asking. He does them in runs, and he does all of his work by hand. He has a shop. He makes them himself. He does not have an OEM. That is absolutely... And I am not a slip joint guy, but looking at his photos makes me want to become one. And they just look different. It's kind of got this sheep's foot style blade, I guess. And he does them in all these different handle finishes. Like this one's, for example, is micarta. I talked to him about his heat treat because that's a big thing. He says he believes he gets his heat treat perfect. For AEBL, he shoots somewhere in the realm of 61 to 62, I believe, from what he told me. And it's absolutely gorgeous, the kind of work that he does by hand. He's always shouting out his wife, who apparently takes the most amazing photos ever. And it kind of makes me wonder what camera she uses. Turns out all the photos that I'm jealous of, they take these photos on like their iPhone. Maybe I'm just the one that needs to get better at editing their photos. All right. Oreo Dave says 70s had disco. That's not good. Some people like the disco. Listen, I'm not here judging people who like to go to the roller rink. I heard that was, you know, a good time. Joshua says, whoa, next image opened, please. Were we talking about this one? Yeah. That finish on that micarta is trippy, but beautiful. Black Spade Knife Works, man. He also does some fixed blades, which are pretty cool too. I'm not, like, I have some fixed blades. I'm not a huge fixed blade guy though. And the reason is that they're just hard to carry because I work from home most of the week. And so it's hard for me to commit to putting a fixed blade on my belt when I'm just sitting at my desk doing my day job during the week when I'm not in office or actually going somewhere. But this looks like one hell of a knife. And he does this style in a lot of different finishes on the handle scales. And the work is just so well done. Like, yes, you can take a photo and edit a photo and make the colors look the most poppy. But when it comes down to it, I would love to see anyone tell me that doesn't look like a well-made knife, even if it's not your style. Like, for example, I'm not big on wood handle scales. He makes the wood handle scales look great. That's just fantastic. One of these days, I'm going to need to get my hands on one of his knives. We got some kitchen knife action right there. And that just looks classy. I don't care who you are, that's classy. Wow. So that's the first one that I wanted to share with everybody, because I know that there are people in the audience that love slip joints, and I never talk about them. And I never talk about them because it takes a special kind of slip joint to get me interested. You know, I know the Jack Wolf knives are very popular and a lot of people like them. I haven't pulled the trigger on one, but man, I'll tell you what. Black Spade Knife Works is getting me really interested in slip joints. He does some other style knives as well. Looks like, yeah, that is, I don't think that's his actually. No, it is his. It's got his logo on it. My bad. Beautiful looking Warncliffe. Straight blade, no curvature. Wood handle scales, like, that's cool. That's absolutely cool. And his wife does take awesome photos. I feel like I need to go hang out in California and take a seminar or something. But absolutely gorgeous knife works. He does his knives in limited runs, handmade, each and every single one of them here in the great US of A. And so if that's what you're into, looks like he even does Damascus. Let's take a look at that. Oof. That's a beautiful, beautiful piece of Damascus right there. Like, they just look so classy. I know I'm gushing, but here's the thing. I've been following Black Spade Knife Works since before I had the channel, for a while. But I wanted to go ahead and take a few minutes to highlight some of these makers who do such good work that a lot of people don't know about. Black Spade Knife Works is the first. Another one, which I really, really enjoy the work from, is called Atomic Punk. Now, Atomic Punk only sells his work at like knife shows and very like limited dealers. I don't think I've ever seen his books open. His books are always closed. But let's just take a minute to appreciate this for a second. Look at how crazy that blade is. It's got so many surfaces, got recurve, got hollow grind, got flat grind. Half the blade is a swedge. We've got multi-directional satin hand finishes and what looks like some seriously decent edge bevels. That's fantastic. I know I'm falling behind on the chat, so I'm gonna let this play in there in the background. We'll catch up here on the chat. So we got Richard Kastner in the house. How's it going? He said, fellas, I'm not sure how long I can hang out. I can feel my fever creeping back up. I'm sorry to hear that, man. Hope you feel better soon. Lots of water. Gargle salt water. It always works for me. Clears up whatever ails me. Gargle salt water. Trust me. Helps. Tina Turner says, ooh, I handled a Atomic Punk Russo a couple weeks ago at a show. His work is fire. His work is fire. And it's not cheap. Like, nothing he does is cheap. Like, I'm assuming that you're probably looking, you know, on the low end, maybe $1,500. You know, maybe. But he does good work. And he also does regrinds on a lot of Strider knives, too. Like, that is not a stock Strider. That's not a Strider blade shape. That's what it looked like before, I think. Like, his regrinds are just bananas. And you look at his work, and the work is beautiful. It has this simplistic look to it, but also it has a lot of depth and complexity. And then he adds in like the really bougie Damascus clips and thumb studs, you know, these crazy blade shapes that no one's ever going to look at and say, oh, that looks like a Benchmade bug out. Not going to happen with his work. His work is not simplistic at all, but it also comes across as not being too busy, which is really, really tough to achieve both of those things. And, man, this is why I have an Instagram, because I could spend a lot of time just drooling over these knives specifically, because you do not see them very often. There's a Russo. For those of you who wanted to know what a Russo looks like, it's just bananas. And for everyone that's familiar with Brass Brigade, the Brass Brigade and Atomic Punk are friends. Fun little factoid. Let's check this one out real quick. So it looks like it's all Damascus, but that's really just a crazy anno job on the titanium handle scales. And then he did a mirror polish on you just don't see that, okay? The pocket clip looks very, very thick and unforgiving, but I think I could get over that. It makes me wonder how much this knife cost. I wonder if someone actually asked that question. Nope. Nobody had the balls to ask how much this knife cost. I guarantee you it was multiple thousands of dollars. I would not be surprised at all. That's just bougie right there. When people say pocket jewelry, that's what I think of. We got Trevin in the house. Says, Dave, aren't you supposed to be asleep? Josh says, if you're sick, take black elderberry and zinc. It shortens your cold by half or better. Good to know. Top Dog says, it's got a batwing blade. You know, let's wait for him to flick it out again. I don't know if I could call that a batwing blade, because I've seen plenty of knives that have that short recurve and then the deep belly. The batwing blade is the one made by Maxace. I think that's a cool looking knife. I just don't know how, like, if it's very usable. Who knows? So that is another knife maker that you may or may not have heard of, but if you haven't before, you have now. The Atomic Punk, definitely a good one to check out. And then another one that I really enjoy work from is G Knives. Jonas Iglesias, custom knife maker, does some insane work. Just to give you an idea, his handle scales designs, wow, that's going to give me epilepsy. His handle scale designs are simplistic. They're on the simpler side, which when you're making knives by hand, you almost have to be, because getting the tolerances right when you're making something yourself and you don't have like a CNC machine or like 3D printed laser, and it could be tough. So the simpler the handle scale design, the easier it is to get those tighter tolerances. I love the look of this one. Very slight recurve, followed by almost what would be considered an American Tanto, with that crazy Damascus pattern. Like, it's bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. Nope, already looked at that one. Let's try. But there's something about that aesthetic that you just know that that's a really, really cool knife. I would love to get my hands on one of these. Has anyone seen one of these in person from Jonas Iglesias? Shout it out in the chat. Pretty Fly for a Knife Guy says, I watched a video from some company that claimed they designed the Batwing blade. They tested it out on a pig, and holy crap, that blade cuts really deep. We might have to find that video. Anyways, Jonas Iglesias does really, really cool custom work. That one almost looks like a Sebenza. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I know that's really cliche to say one knife looks like another, but it's got that style. It's got that classic style that Sebenza does really well. I'm not saying that he copied Sebenza or anything like that, but I really like being able to see how crazy a maker can go and yet how tame they can go at the same time, because there is complexity in simplicity when you're designing something and making it by hand. Gosh, that's a cool knife. Wood handle scales looks like steel or titanium liners. Titanium clip. Bonkers, man. It looks like a harpoon tanto with a recurve. I wonder how much these go for. I don't have the stones to message and find out. But one day I will message and I will find out. These are absolutely beautiful pieces. If you haven't heard of G Knives, Jonas Iglesias Knives, check him out. Looks like he's got a Facebook. He's not taking orders at this time. You see that a lot with these custom knife makers, though, because they fill up their schedule really, really quickly. It does not take much for them to actually get their books full. And then let's so we've done a couple American knife makers. Let's check out one from Canada. So Jonathan Shaw is the knife maker behind Triple Stripe Knives. Young guy, 17 years old. He's almost half my age. I'm feeling a little dated here, but he's got some really cool designs. Those thumb studs, those Timascus thumb studs, are really cool. It's that blade shape kind of reminds me of a lot of the blade shapes that Transparent Knives, that Brian from Transparent Knives does. But that's cool, man. A common thread that I've seen, and this is a commonality that I've noticed with a lot of custom knife makers, is that because it can be difficult to get the centering of a blade right, they don't leave a lot, if any, room for the blade to be centering. The blade is almost exactly, it's almost up next to each of those scales. There's not a whole lot of space. Like, for example, if you were to look at this, you can see space. You can see space, and they can machine that to be centered perfect. But when you're making a knife by hand, it can be really difficult. So it makes me wonder if they design the handle scales to be so close to the blade on purpose, because it can be hard to center it. And the closer they are, the easier it is. It's just a guess. But that Damascus is beautiful. Looks like super deep etching lines. Everything matches up. He does do raffles for his knives, and he does sell his knives quite frequently. I hear that he's at knife shows all the time. This is one that I would definitely love to check out in person. I know he does some fixed blades as well. That's a cool one. I'm not sure how functional that design is, but it's cool, and that's all that matters. At 17, I was not making knives. I was not building my own business. I was doing stuff that 17-year-olds do. And now I look at what 17-year-olds today do, and I feel like I could have done a lot more. Absolutely bananas. Super cool. So if you've been looking for some good custom knife makers, whether they're from United States or whether they're from, Canada, you can find good custom knife makers just about everywhere. They come in all shapes, sizes, and ages. Make sure you check out Mr. Jonathan Shaw, also known as Triple Stripe Knives. You can find him on Instagram. I don't see a website. I don't see a Facebook or anything. So if you're looking for one of his knives, I'd follow him on Instagram and wait for him to do a raffle. Because I have seen him do plenty of raffles where he sells his knife and he chooses who can buy it via raffle. I'll tell you what, if I saw this one in a raffle, it would be really, really hard not to find a way to make it happen. That would be bananas. All right, so Oreo Dave says, was that a ballast song? Yeah. Ballast songs are really tricky though, because you have not one pivot, but two pivots that have to work in harmony together and they need to be lined up. Handmade ballast songs are tough. But apparently not for him. I can do a couple ballast song tricks, but not very well. Definitely not that good. It looks like it's a trainer blade, so it's not a live blade. But that is tough. Getting a ballast song right when it's handmade is definitely very tough. So yeah. Here's a fun fact. As soon as I get the rest of my settings back, and I will recover them from somewhere, I'm making the video for this guy. This is the Midgard's Messer Little Valen, and I did everything but the ranking on it. The ranking video is coming. I did not forget about this knife, and that will be the next video that I come out with. So I will be ranking this one soon. Other knives on the docket for ranking and coming up in the near future. The Damned Designs Banshee, really cool knife. We'll also be checking out the Vero Engineering Axon. This one surprised me. I don't think I've ever held a knife that's been easier to deploy than this one. Like, it takes almost no thought. You think about it, bang. And it doesn't have a strong detent. If anything, that would be one of my few criticisms on this knife, is that it needs a stronger detent. But like, I just think about it and bang. And it's got red G10. This is a $300 knife. Red G10 handle scales, M390, $300 knife. And I really like it. Like, the G10 feels really light. And when this came in, because this was lent to me by a viewer who might actually be watching right now. But the audience member that lent this to me, he has a micarta version as well. And he asked me which one I'd rather check out. I said, you know what? Let's check out the G10. And I asked for the G10 one because I wouldn't normally buy a $300 knife that has G10 handle scales normally. And so I know that these sell really well, and I wanted to find out how good it was. And I think I nailed down the market for this knife. The market for this knife is people that really, really, really want to stay under a certain weight. And that's where this knife really excels. If you're okay with G10 handle scales and you're trying to stay under 4 ounces, this is the knife, man. That action is beautiful. It is a bit of a guillotine, but it's not harsh. It's really nice. Then we got Ghana Ryan in the chat. He says, that guy is good with the butterfly as Vu is with a flipper. You know what's nuts is that I've seen people in the balisong community that would consider that to be like a low intermediate level. And I watched some of these videos of these balisong flippers in their competitions, and it's absolutely insanity what they can do with a balisong. Funny that this should flash by. So I actually did a review on this one recently via the Apex Pass Around group. These are now available. At the time that I did the review, you could not get them, but if you were looking for one of these are now available. The Beyond EDC Riverwolf frame lock looks like it's an exclusive, so it's in the blue titanium. $320. I really like this knife, but I was also really disappointed in this knife. Like when you have a child that you love to pieces, but it has so much unused potential and you know that it can do better. It's kind of how I feel about the Beyond EDC Riverwolf. Would I carry this knife? Absolutely. Do I think they need to get rid of some of this billboarding? Yep. I would love to see some jimping up here. And if they're not going to do jimping, transfer some of that billboarding up here because you're not using that spine of the blade for anything else. But it feels good in the hand. The action is really smooth. It's easy to fidget with. And it's a big boy. If you like big knives, it's a 4-inch blade. Kind of reminds me a bit of the classic American knife maker designs, like, you know, slab style titanium handle scales, frame lock. The pocket clip, not too terribly disappointed in the pocket clip. It's a good knife, and it actually got a really good ranking for me when I reviewed it, and it shocked me how good the ranking was. Like my brain said it's a 35 or a 36, but when I did the math, I was like, no, it's like a 38. But I wish that they had taken more risks with this knife, because it could have been a really cool knife. They could have done something with the handle scales, like maybe a micarta inlay or a carbon fiber inlay. You know, they could have done something with that backspacer. Like they even played it safe with the backspacer. That backspacer should have come way up here. And they probably didn't do a backspacer that long, but they should have, because it's a 4-inch blade. Beyond EDC might never send me a knife after they watch my videos because I was very critical of it. But I did give it a good score because it did check all the boxes. But it felt like a knife that was designed to check all the boxes. It felt lifeless. And I like knives that feel alive. Knives like this guy, the Thunrar. It's absurd. It weighs 12 ounces. This is not something that many people would carry. A lot of people will buy this knife, but many people will not carry it because it's just so heavy. But I'm telling you, I've never started up as many conversations with a knife as I have with this knife. You know, you pull this out to cut an apple at lunchtime in the cafeteria, people are asking questions. Hopefully it's not HR. All right. K Mason says, doing that over concrete? He's talking about the balisong flipping. K Mason says the Demco MG8020S and M4 is dropping soon on Blade HQ. Got the notification earlier today. That's a knife that I know a lot of people want. Let's see. It's probably in the coming soon category. Let's check it out. Benchmade, Spyderco Stretch 2. The Dauntless MFG Blade HQ exclusive dog bone. Talk about a mouthful. I know a lot of people are excited about this guy. The We Knife Company Thug XL. Beautiful looking knife. I don't know how I feel about the Tiger Striped Flame Titanium. I'm not sure how I feel about that design. I might have to go with just a plain Jane brushed silver. Like that looks classy in my opinion. Beautiful American Tanto style brushed titanium finish. I would love to see more knives with this brushed titanium finish. I don't need smooth. I don't need orange peel. Just give me that. Give me that. That finish is perfect. We Knife Company nailed it with that. They nailed it with the fit and finish. And of course, you have to give props to the man who designed it, Matthew Christensen. Amazing knife designer. And if you ever want to talk to him, he can be found hanging out in Tri-State EDC's lives. How big is it? Well, it's bigger than the original one, but it's actually not that big. It's still, the overall length is still just shy of 8 inches. Blade length is under 3.5, 20 CPM 20 CV, convex grind, which is nice. But yeah, I'm not seeing that Demko. Where is it? Where is it? You'd think that it would be in there coming soon. Let's try this. Demko MG. Here it is. We found it. $450 for Demko Knives MG 8020S. This is one where you just like, you know, if you want this knife, you know that you're going to suck it up and buy a knife with G10 handle scales for $450. And if you want titanium, you're just going to have to go ahead and, get those scales yourself. Absolutely. You just have to do it, because otherwise you're not going to have another chance. I do wish that they had come out with, or that they would come out with the titanium version at the same time. That is something. Here we go. There it is. There it is. Look at that. If you want the titanium version, I guarantee you these two will be the first to sell. Guaranteed. And so if you want one, click that notify me button and, have your wallet ready, because these will go fast. These other G10 ones are probably going to sell out too, but it's going to start with these. Remember, it's at the bottom of the very first page. If it was me, I'd probably go for the textured titanium. It's not going to be me though. I definitely won't be pulling the trigger on one of these. No, I don't have that kind of cheddar at the moment. But I would like to have a Demko model. Not to be confused with the 80-20.5, which I keep around because it's a good comparison knife, because a lot of people have it. But if you didn't know, I'm mad at this knife for costing $150 and, in my opinion, not being worth it. Just my opinion. Gonorrhea says, "What's happening to Vu?" I popped in on the Neves Knives live shortly before my system started malfunctioning, and I noticed that he has parted ways with Kizer, or at least that's what the message in the chat said. It said that he's no longer collaborating with Kizer, which is too bad, because if that's true, if it's not a joke, it means that he is no longer going to be working with Kizer, which is a bummer. Oreo Dave says, "Just quickly scrolling past the Desert Warrior, huh?" I'm not really a Desert Warrior guy. The Desert Warrior theme is a joke that people have taken way too far. And maybe I would buy one just to have one as a collector's piece, kind of like how people buy the mermaid knife. But like, let's not get it twisted. I think it's the Boker Mermaid is what it's called. But people glorify the Desert Warrior like they glorify this knife. It's a meme. It's a meme with an edge. Like, I don't know many people that would actually carry this with a straight face. I mean, would we buy it so that we have a conversation piece? Maybe, but it's a meme. It's a bit crazy. These weren't very expensive, but Boker definitely knew how to make some knives that caught some conversations. So you have to give them some props for that, honestly. But the Desert Warriors, they've taken too far. That you can get microtex in this donut variation now. You can get Civivis and Wee knives and Bokers and Protex, like a Protec Les George Desert Warrior. Maybe I'm just taking things too seriously. If it brings someone joy, and they're okay dropping $350 on a knife that's pink with multicolored sprinkles and a blue blade, I know this is a good knife because ProTech made it. It's good steel, good materials, good workmanship, but I can't take that finish seriously. I can't. It's just my personal opinion. I hope that one day I have the disposable income to buy a knife because it's a meme. That would make my day. Cool story about the Desert Warriors, though. So Blade HQ is responsible for starting the whole Desert Warrior thing. You know how manufacturers and retailers, sometimes they have typos? So they found out by doing something called SEO, they found out that people were searching for Desert Warrior instead of Desert Warrior. And so as a joke, Boker came out with a knife with a donut finish called the Desert Warrior. And it was massively popular because a lot of people were looking for the Desert Warrior, but instead were searching for Desert Warrior. And now it's a huge thing. Bit of a crazy story there. Connor Rice says, it's damn ugly. I said it. I agree. 100%. K. Mason said, I was given a mermaid, but mine looks different than the ones I've seen. Interesting. Oreo Dave says, that's why you buy one. It's absurd. The mermaid is horribly built. I lost the detent ball taking it apart to clean it. Well, Top Dog says, they sold like crazy prior to the latest Civivi Warrior offering. Yeah, and it does make me kind of want donuts now. Let's see what DLT has. Let's check them out real quick. I'm not going to spend too much time on DLT because I know it's just going to be a pile of Medfords that I've already seen. But I did want to mention the ProTech Malibu is dropping again. The Malibu is sold out each and every time it's dropped since its inception. And it's going to be available for $260 in a day and 13 hours. So roughly 2 days. They're going to have it for all the different color variations, it looks like. I guarantee you these will sell out within an hour or 2 hours. They're not going to be available for long. But they're not bad. $260, $274, depending upon what you want. M390, aluminum handle scales. The button lock that started the craze. And because I know a lot of people were looking for these, if you want one, here's your chance. DLT, go ahead and sign up to be notified for the drop. It's going down in roughly a day and a half. So that's cool. White Mountain Knives is where I spend a lot of my time because you can use those creator discounts to get some really, really good discounts if you're going to spend some cash, some cheddar on some knives. And they've got some knives that are coming soon that I'm really interested in. This is something that I'm extremely interested in. So this knife is the AM8 Elgar. AM8 is Miguron, if you didn't know. S90V blade, blue textured titanium handle scales. You can also get it in a tan textured titanium handle scale. But that looks good. Got a nice long deployment slot, blue anodized thumb stud, S90V, which I don't think that we see enough knives that aren't made by Spyderco in this steel. And it's not a small one either. It's 8.6 inches long with a 3.5 inch blade. The blade finish is black PVD. Looks like their HRC target level is 59 to 61. I would have preferred to have seen 60 to 62 on that target, to be honest with you. But beautiful looking knife. And it's only $190. And of course, if you use, like Tri-State 10 or LTK, you can get 10% off. So call it what? 160, 170. There we go. Math is hard. Josh says, I'm saving my funds for the Pony Stout. Yeah, the Pony Stout looks good from Devo. And the Boker Harlock. Redef says, leave dessert for later. You should. But every now and then you should eat dessert first. Yana Rice says, too bad people don't search for Mr. Hanky so that we can have a poop knife. Chat's getting a little wild. More knives coming soon. White Mountain Knives is one of my favorite places to buy knives because you get them at really reasonable prices, but they don't ever last long when the good ones drop here. Something that I saw that recently dropped, the Riot Exo, and they stuck around for a surprisingly long time this time around. I think they're all sold out again now, but these were available for longer than they ever have been, which makes me wonder if they're finally starting to fall out of fashion. Because when these first came out in the first, second, and third waves, they sold out immediately. And now people are starting to calm down a little bit. But you know what's crazy to me is that all the knife channels love to market this as a knife that is extremely illegal. But the ironic part is that most recently in the last couple of years, with the advances in knife laws changing and becoming more and more fair gradually, it's not actually the most illegal knife anymore. You can own this knife in pretty much every state except for New Hampshire. I looked it up. There's only one state that, as a statewide regulation, will not allow a gravity knife. One state. There's more states that do not allow push daggers than gravity knives. Gravity knives, one state. Maybe your local jurisdiction doesn't allow them, but on a statewide basis, which is, the most reinforced knife laws, there's only one state that doesn't allow gravity knives. But if you were to go on YouTube right now and search for Riot Exo, you'd find 10 videos talking about how illegal they are. And that blows me away because they used to be super illegal, but they're really not anymore. So if you want one of these, check out your local knife laws because these are becoming easier and easier to get with each release, and they're not as illegal as you think. Joe Isabella says, hello, all you beautiful people. Hello, Joe. All right. So what else is new? Well, a knife that I'm going to be reviewing at some point. The QSP Rhino is back in stock at White Mountain Knives. It looks like the only two that are still in stock since the latest batch are the purple titanium one with the purple Damascus clip and the gray with the Damascus clip, going for $358. Now, I would probably go for this one. If I could swing it right now, this would be the one that I would order. I know it's a little bit colorful for a lot of people, but there's something about a good ano, a good purple ano on titanium that I absolutely love. So I don't have the disposable income for this one right now, but the Apex Pass Around group is sending me one. They're sending me the gray version that channel's been checking out with the compound grind. So I will be reviewing this one. There's a couple other people that have it before me, and then I will be doing some content on this guy. So very, very excited about that. This is supposed to be one of the best knives that QSP has come out with in a long time. And they've been selling too. They've absolutely been selling. I'm not surprised. I think it's a good looking knife. I like the fact that you can see the contouring on the handle scales in the picture, and it's not just a straight slab construction. I also like the fact that the way that they did the jimping was this corkscrew type jimping, and that they give you a Damascus backspacer. Like, that's cool. those little flares, they make a big difference. Really, really cool knife. Can't wait to check it out for myself. Wish I could buy one for myself, but it's not in the cards for me as of right now. We'll see. Who knows? Maybe I try it out and I'm glad that I didn't buy it. That could happen too. Oreo Dave says, ooh, $358. Yeah, it's not cheap, man. It is not cheap. So you got the titanium scales M390. This is the less expensive version because this is a flat grind instead of a compound grind. But you still get the Timascus backspacer. And I'm not sure if that's real Timascus on the clip or if that's just an ano job. But M390 titanium, it's about 7.5 inches long. 3.25 inch on the blade length, or so they say. But when you add in little flares like Timascus, M390 titanium, I mean, I get it. You know, call it. Look at it this way: with the 10% discount code, you're not paying $358. You're paying, you know, $320-ish, $323. And when you compare this to other knives that go for that amount, you know what? Like, it's dollar for dollar. I mean, we'll see. We'll see once I get the review unit in. We'll see if it's worth the price tag, because that's a lot of money for a QSP knife. But QSP has been putting out some really good quality fit and finish, whether it's their regular line or their Finch knives that they make for Finch Knife Company. They do a good job. So I'm really excited to get a chance to check that one out, because it's really going to be a question of, is it worth the price tag? I don't know. We'll find out. But they are available if you want to take the plunge and check it out. It's right here on White Mountain Knives. I would definitely buy it here so you get that $35 off by using one of your favorite creators' discount code. You could use LTK or Tri-State 10. There's a lot of different codes out there. So yeah. All right. Joe Isabella says, purple is my jam. Josh says, cracked ribs, man. Joe, take it slow. Heal up there. Yeah. Hope you feel better soon. Redef says, there's an Interstate Commerce Act. All I know from Google, maybe there's more informed person who can comment. I don't know. I do not know about the Interstate Commerce Act. Josh says, it's real on the clip. B's opened one on his channel. Nice. Joshua Mostaller says, I broke 3 ribs rolling a grizzly on myself doing donuts. That's tough. Donuts. All right. All right, everybody. Well, I am going to call it a little bit early on this live stream. I've got a lot of work to do to get my system back up and set up, because currently my channel is running off of a whole bunch of presets that just disappeared and went into the ether. So with all of that being said, before I head out, I do want to find out, what was your favorite knife maker that I showed off today? Was it Black Spade Knives? Or Black Spade Knife Works? My bad. Was it Black Spade Knife Works with this insane slip joint? Was it Atomic Punk with his really, really crazy, unique blade work? Or was it G Knives or Triple Stripe Knives? I gotta know. What do the people like? Out of all those knife makers that I talked about today, I'm curious. Was there any that you had seen before that you were surprised I talked about? Were they all new? Which one was your favorite? Josh says, have a good one, Shambo. Spade for sure. Yeah, that one might be my favorite as well. Yeah, Black Spade Knife Works. Oreo Dave likes Triple Stripe. Triple Stripe does some really good work. This one, man. If I was picking a singular knife, it would be really hard not to pick this one. I don't see an edge bevel on it though, which makes me wonder if that's a zero bevel, or if this is a picture before he put a bevel on there. But I do kind of want to know. Matt Russell says, Black Spade for sure. Those slip joints are dope. You know what? They go for about $458. So for a custom handmade knife here in the USA, that's not bad. If you want a Black Spade knife work slip joint, make sure you hit him up on Instagram, send him a message and say, hey, put my name on a list for the next production run. These are the knives you make that I like. He will let you know. $450 is not bad for a full custom job like that. It's not bad at all. K Mason says, I like the clean designs of Black Spade. And Top Dog says that they were all new. Yes. I love being able to share new designers, new knives with the people. It brings me a lot of joy. All right, everybody. Well, that's all for me. If you like the video, make sure that you give it a like. Again, I apologize for the technical difficulties. I promise that we'll have it back up and running in no time. But other than that, I will see you all on the flip side.